And when you're looking at possible death rates, I don't know if you knew, but right now the death rate seems to be around 1.4%. So that 1.4% is where you're going to get that 100,000. Now, that's from a science standpoint. 1.5% of people dying for something this bad. That's actually a win, and they're not going to come out and say that on public air. You know, you can't say anything like that. But the reality is that that's a win. Numbers can, numbers don't come with emotion. Numbers come with the numbers, and you look at them, for what they are. And 100,000 people wouldn't be, that would be a win. When you look at considering how many people we have that are having it, and comparing it to other countries that are around 5% death rates, if we stay at 1.5, that's a win. My heart goes out to those families that deal with that, but it's a win.
That's a deep thought that you just put out there. Dr. Davis, you're here and you're listening to some of this conversation. From a psychology standpoint, how are you going to share the fact that this is a win to people, as Dr. Parker just put it, you do have your doctorate, don't you, as a scientist? I'm
yes.
horrible with all right, as Dr. Parker just put it. So, Dr. Davis, you're hearing Dr. Parker say that this is a win, but how do you, when you're talking to people and they're dealing with this on an emotional psychology standpoint, because that's what your background is, how are you able to, maintain some level of people's sanity? Because that's what a lot of people are also worried about, is the fact that we've already seen a run at the grocery stores, people getting toilet paper. I've never quite understood why we're running to get toilet paper when we need to get soup and food and bread, but for some reason there was a run on toilet paper, so I never quite understood.
If you're wondering about the run on toilet paper, you've never run out in the bathroom before.
No, I've run out before, so that is true.
That is a stressful situation.
In this sense, I did not understand the run of people going to get 8, 10, 15, 20 rolls and everything. So in this sense, it didn't make as much sense as saying to go get food that you need on your day-to-day survival. But from a standpoint of dealing with what's going on, how are you coping with this and dealing with this from the psychology standpoint? Because that's your background.
So I think a lot of this is, when we're looking at big numbers, when we call this a win, we're talking about it as a win. I think Dr. Parker was talking about a win on a grand scale, and as Dr. Parker said, the numbers don't have emotions. When we look at individual people, though, individual people have emotions, and for many of us don't really want to think about, millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people. We're really just looking at our own loved ones. We're looking at our relatives. We're looking at our friends. And we're looking at the people that we care about, and those are individuals to us. And our feelings come from the fact that these are individuals. When you step back and take the global perspective, as Dr. Parker pointed out, it is absolutely it's absolutely a win to keep the death toll so small. But for that's not something that is going to matter to, for example, a friend of mine just lost a parent to COVID-19, and that is. There's nothing I can say to him. There's no win for him here. He has an actual loss, a very tangible, personal loss, and about all I can do is just give him a call and give him my condolences. And that's something that we also have to validate, is that for each individual person, this is something very real, and a potential loss is the whole world to us. The people that we may stand to lose, that can be the whole world to us.
Yeah, that's very true. I can definitely see that. Seen that with just people that have lost folks here. And like I said, I don't know if for a fact that any of them have been COVID-related, even though they may have had some sort of underlying factors, or even the pull from resources, as I said earlier, might have been the reasons that the folks that we mentioned earlier had passed away. As far as I know, none of them were COVID-related, but I do know that there are even some world-famous entertainers that are got COVID and are people are watching to see how it impacts them. I know that Jackson Brown, who is a well-known performer, as well as John Prine, apparently have the COVID-19. So I was just, like I said, just trying to figure out how you, when you're talking to folks, and I also want to hear from both of you, both from the psychology standpoint as well as from the scientific standpoint, this whole concept of washing their hands on a regular basis. I mean, I know we're supposed to do that regularly anytime that we do this, but I mean, it seems like a lot of people, as soon as they step outside, as soon as they come back in the house, some people are automatically washing clothes as soon as they come back in, or washing their hands as soon as they come back in, and it seems like we're being very aggressive with this. Is this something that we should be doing this aggressively? Or I've heard people talking about that they've even, I want to say somebody somewhere had said that they were trying to wash their hands like, 3 or 4 times an hour. And I don't know, from a skin standpoint, I mean, yes, there's moisturizers and things of that nature, whether that's going to be all that great for the human body as well. So from a scientific standpoint, how important is it for us to do this kind of routine body care and everything as we are fighting this disease?
Well, I can tell you, this is Dr. Parker. One of the things, my routine used to be this, and it used to be funny when I was in grad school doing this, and I was dating somebody, and then later on, after getting married, she didn't understand why my routine was, especially when I was working with bats. I would come in, I would stop right there at the door and have to take everything off, put that in a bag, and literally wipe down right there, then go straight to the shower, not touching anything. And that's because, again, I know what we can bring in. I keep a routine when I'm out in the field of being able to do that because again, knowing what we can bring into a home that can get into someone. And plus, this is my third time being quarantined, so I'm good. But I'd say keep a routine. Door handles, anything you pick up and touch. I'm real big on making sure my laptop and phone stay aseptic. I continually wipe them down if I move around or do something. And one of the other things is that I have a dog. So when my dog comes in, if I pet her or something, I make sure to wipe my hands off with hand sanitizer and keep that routine in, because I think we don't think you can get transmission from a dog, from your pets, but they can be a vehicle for bringing the virus in. So can they have it and then you catch it from them? Probably not. But they can have the virus ride in on their body. And so people have to think about those types of things as well. Again, it's about having a routine. But for me, clean your house really well. Don't touch your face, and don't feel like you have to be as OCD about it. I don't want people to be frightened. We should be well aware, but I think the level of panic that's spread throughout the country is interesting. But keep a routine, and this is going to be our new norm for a while until we get a vaccine for this. So.
Well, what do you think about that, Dr. Davis? If you can chime in about the level of panic and everything, because there is a level of panic. And also, as I mentioned, I think it might have been on Sree's show yesterday, we are definitely a very social economy. I mean, people love going, I don't care whether they're young or old, they definitely love going to the clubs. We're definitely, even the old folks like to go play pickup games of basketball and things of that nature, which are not necessarily allowed now because we're trying to keep it to 10 and under and everything. So how are people in your mind, where you're up there in the New York, New Jersey area, coping with the fact that they're not able to do a lot of things that they used to be able to do? I mean, a lot of people, by the time this virus is over, they might have forgotten the last time they went to go see a movie. And, of course, people are also going to watch movies at their house on Netflix and stuff, but I'm talking about actually going to a movie theater.
In certain ways, the tech world is very much stepping up. So, for example, Netflix, there are ways for people to there's an app for, I think, at least Chrome, possibly also Firefox, that lets you have a movie party with other people remotely, so you all start and watch the movie at the same time. And you end up doing you can end up doing a kind of Mystery Science Theater 3000 type of situation where you're all getting to chat about the movie while the movie's going on. I've seen a lot of people starting up Discord servers for games. A lot of companies have started creating online games. I just recently saw an online version of Cards Against Humanity, so people can play that all across the world. People are starting up different types of apps for playing games and having connections. So I think people really are stepping up. Also out here in New York, you still see people walking outside. Folks are not being sufficiently conscious about the 6 feet as we might be hoping, but you are starting to notice an increasing number of people who, as much as they're out walking, they're staying away from other people as they walk. Some of the streets are getting closed so people can at least go outside. And I've actually watched some fascinating social get-togethers in these parks and whatever, where people are actually keeping 6 feet. A colleague of mine actually told a story that he lives in Virginia, and he and a bunch of neighbors, they all got out on their driveways, pulled out the beers, and each in their own driveway, and they were having a soup type conversation, just everybody on their own driveway.
So there are people that are finding ways to do these things and everything. Also, how important are the masks and everything? Because that's the other thing that we've heard a lot of people talking about is the need for these masks. And I want to bring Calvin back in there because I'm sure that's one of the needs that people are having is finding these masks. It seems like we've got definitely different companies are stepping up because I know some people, I believe that dentists haven't been using the mask as much as they used to use them. So the many dentists and dentistry firms have made their mask available. But how important are the masks when you're going outside? And if you don't have the traditional mask, will other things work? I've heard people theorizing that a scarf will work.
No. I'm sorry. The one with that is for them to understand how masks work, they'd have to understand just how small viruses are. People think about bacteria, and they work really well for bacteria. For the average bacteria that you're going to have around your home or whatever, you don't want to, inhale anything. But even though bacteria are small, viruses are around 50 times smaller. So most of the masks, I'm willing to say probably around 80 to 90% of the masks that people put on, the virus just goes straight through it because it's so small. And so this is why the importance on making sure that you have the right type of mask, the N95 respirator type of mask, because those are small enough so that the virus cannot get through it. So I think it's and I'd like to hear what he has to say, because I think it's an emotional thing that people do, but from a biologist standpoint, having that mask on, and if it's not the right type of mask, you might as well not have it on. But it makes people more comforting, so.
Yeah, Dr. Parker's got it. People feel more comfortable when they've got the mask on. They think that that's going to protect them, and since, as Dr. Parker pointed out, not only is the science conveyed so well to people, and they don't quite realize that, when we're getting down to this microscopic level, that there really are degrees of size. And so, we not realizing that, we're going to feel safer as if there's some kind of barrier, and especially because we know that it can be airborne in droplets. We think that if we've got the mask on, that's going to protect us from droplets because we don't feel the access to the air in the droplets. We're covering our noses and mouths, so we don't feel the air coming towards them in quite the same way. We don't feel as open. We don't feel as exposed. And so we're under the illusion that we're safe. And as Dr. Parker points out, unless you're wearing the right kind of mask, we're not.
Because I guess the other thing that I'm always scared about, and that just actually occurred to me earlier today, is that a lot of people are also wearing, whether it's the restaurant workers, and I definitely appreciate the great work that the restaurant workers are doing and the great work that the few folks on the front lines are doing in terms of food delivery, whether that's Hub, Dash, or some of the other ones that are out there. But I just went and got a pickup order earlier today, and when I went and got that pickup order, I noticed at least 3, maybe 4 pieces of gloves that people had just tossed off onto the air. And I know that pollution has been a problem in the world forever, and it's probably going to continue to be a problem. But when we're in the middle of a pandemic, it seems to me like that's dangerous, because I'm thinking that say that there was a virus on that, and I actually stepped away from it. I think I tried to get as far away from it as I could. But say that there was a virus on that piece of glove or whatever, I'm thinking that some of these viruses